So stoked for this one. Coming up, we're counting down the greatest albums of music's greatest year, fueled by a barrage of powder kegs, including a full-on brawl between two rock icons after one kicked his pet dog during the recording of a legendary album. And then there was a perfectionist producer whose drive and ambition took a classic band to the top of the charts, but he drove them so hard it broke them up for good. Plus, the most haunting song of the decade that I guarantee will give you nightmares. Then there was a genius rocker who deleted the bass track from his song. Everybody thought he was crazy, but it made it legendary. Plus a song that may be the most misunderstood hit of all time, and another one that we all thought was completely innocent as kids, but once it got to a certain age, we realized it was really dirty. And then finally, the stellar rock band whose frontman was so worried about selling out, he ruined any chance that they had of greatness. These stories and so many more are our countdown of the top 10 albums of an incredible year. Next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Or in this case, greatest albums. If you remember this commercial.
For fun, it's a wonderful toy. It's fun for a girl and a boy.
You're gonna dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now and click the bell. I know you'll find something to dig on the channel. Also, make sure to check out our Vintage Years collection and also our podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple and anywhere you get your stuff. We've argued it before. What's the greatest year in music history? I mean, there's 1966, there's 1971, there's 1979. I gotta go with today's countdown year, 1984. This countdown consists of 10 very distinctive and influential long plays from what I consider to be one of the most important years of the rock era. I think it's the greatest year. What do you think? Let me know below. The top 10 albums of 1984 is coming your way. Remember, on our album countdowns, we give you the biggest hits from each album, as well as our pick for the best song and the best hidden gem that you got to go back and listen to. Kicking off our countdown of the top 10 84, I've got Metallica, Ride the Lightning at number 10. You know, behind every riff lies ambition and anger and revolution, born from chaos. I'm talking about Metallica here. Fresh off their debut, Kill 'Em All, Metallica were still broke. They were recording in a bare-bones studio. They had no budget. Creative tensions bubbled and personal problems piled on during the recording. But nothing shook the band more than the meltdowns with guitarist Dave Mustaine. His heavy drinking, his violent outbursts, it just pushed everyone to the edge. So Dave brought his dog everywhere with him. He just kind of let him run all over the place. But the breaking point came when James Hetfield kicked Mustaine's dog. This was after it scratched bassist Ron McGovney's car. I did that. And Mustaine responded by punching James in the face. It was clear that he had to go. Firing Mustaine was brutal, but it was necessary. It united the band and it cleared the path for Ride the Lightning, an album that proved Metallica were more than just angry kids. They were a force ready to change metal and music, for that matter, forever. The best song for the album, for me, is For Whom the Bell Tolls. That track was an early manifestation of Metallica's gift for gripping song arrangements. For Whom the Bell Tolls masterfully balances slow, crushing riffs with moments of speed and aggression. I mean, the alliance of Lars Ulrich's pounding drum lines and Kirk Hammett's uncanny shifts and build-ups are unlike any other rock band, creating a sense of tension and release that's both cathartic, melodic rock, and fiercely intense metal at the same time. Now, the only single from Ride the Lightning was Creeping Death, and it's also my gem from the album. From the opening riffs, Creeping Death, it's a track based on the biblical story of the plagues of Egypt, punishes with a relentless driving rhythm. The fast-paced tempo and aggressive guitar work create a sense of life or death urgency. And then the lyrics evoke a sense of dread and justice, tapping into themes of divine wrath and human suffering. James Hetfield delivers the words with sneering conviction. And a lot of people that are kind of middle of the road Metallica fans don't really know that song. So yeah, that's why it's my hidden gem. Ranking at number 9, I have a classic. It's the second solo album by Don Henley, Eagle Don Henley, Building the Perfect Beast, a title calling out the dangers of genetic engineering. Building the Perfect Beast was damn close to a perfect album. It was meticulously crafted from world-class musicianship provided by many of the most respected players in the business. David Paich and C. Porcaro from Toto, Patti Smythe, Waddy Wachtel, Lindsey Buckingham, there was Randy Newman, Danny Kortchmar, and Mike Campbell, and then Ben Tench and Stan Lynch, all from the Heartbreakers. The singles from the albums were Boys of Summer, which hit number 5, his biggest solo hit. All She Wants to Do Is Dance hit number 9, Not Enough Love in This World went to number 34, and Sunset Girl went to number 22.
All she wants to do is dance. There's just not enough love in the world. Down at the Sunset Grill.
Boys of Summer was not only the best song on Don's record, it was one of the best of the decade.
I can tell you my love for you will still be strong.
Out on the road today, I saw a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. I mean, that is one of the greatest lyrics ever.
Out on the road today, I saw a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac.
On Sunset Boulevard, there sits a small burger joint called the Sunset Grill, a greasy spoon with a striped awning where Don Henley often stopped for a beer. More than just a hangout, it inspired one of the hidden gems on Building the Perfect Beast, my choice for the best hidden gem.
Hard to get home with any pride.
In Sunset Grill, Henley uses the diner as a metaphor, a place where everyday lives intersect, memories linger, and humanity shines through, even as Hollywood races forward with neon money and technology. This is not just a song about a place, a greasy spoon. It's a haunting reminder of the fragile beauty of human connection in a city and a world that never stops moving. Such a haunting song. The Top 10 '84 spins on with Reckless by Bryan Adams at number 8. There were 6 singles released from Reckless, and all of them cracked the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Phenomenal. Record-setting feat for a rocker at the time. Now, first there was Run to You. It was originally a soft ballad that morphed into a rocker. And there was Somebody, Heaven, Summer of '69, One Night Love Affair, and It's Only Love, his duet with Tina Turner. The Summer of '69 is the highlight of Reckless, of course, but it's not as innocent as it sounds. We talked about it before. On the surface, it's about youthful summers and first love, but the '69 in the title, of course, carries a cheeky double entendre.
Those were the best days of my life.
Originally called Best Days of My Life, Bryan Adams and co-writer Jim Vallance opted for the edgier title to give it bite, since Bryan Adams was a mere 9 years old in the summer of '69, so there's that. Vallance explained the song blends real teenage memories with the more intimate moments of growing up.
I guess nothing can last forever.
Early on, the song even featured a jangly 12-string riff before being swapped for the crunchier 6-string version that we know today and love. It was recorded right in Valance's basement, actually, and the inspiration will actually surprise you. Never talked about it before. The Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever, another song drenched in nostalgia and reflection.
Going to strawberry fields.
And although it was a hit, It's Only Love is still the hidden gem off Reckless. You almost never hear the song anymore. Now, the story goes that Tina Turner was already a fan of Bryan Adams' fiery voice and songwriting, and she met him in the studio. And the two quickly connected from there. A mutual respect sparked a collaboration where they pushed each other to the limit vocally, delivering a duet bursting with grit, passion, and raw intensity for sure. At lucky number 7 on our top 10 albums of 1984, I've got Heartbeat City by The Cars. The album that shook things up and became their biggest seller. It moved over 6 million copies worldwide. And behind the glossy hits, the band nearly tore itself apart here. Rick Ocasek often joked that they broke up 4 times during the recording process, because of the creative disagreements and the personal clashes that surfaced despite the album's commercial triumph. And then there was also, the producer who was driving them. Now, wanting a new direction, they actually ditched longtime producer Roy Thomas Baker for Robert Mutt Lange, the hitmaker known for his radio-polished sound. Most people don't know that Mutt actually got his nickname as a kid because of his droopy ears that reminded his family of a basset hound. Of course, Mutt had a reputation of producing more polished material fashioned for radio airplay. And he didn't care really about core Cars fans, that he knew would accuse them of selling out. His goal was to make hit songs that translated into sales, period. So Mutt pushed for electronic drums and heavy Fairlight CMI programming, sidelining some of the band's signature guitar and drum work that made them who they were, essentially. Especially Elliot Easton felt left out of the process. And, of course, David Robinson, they both felt left out, frustrated that their roles were diminished by machines. But Mutt delivered what he was hired to do, a cutting-edge synth-heavy album built for radio and built for 1984. The result was a massive success, even if it came at the cost of bruised egos and mounting tension inside the band. But man, these guys were frustrated. I mean, they had to do their parts dozens and dozens and dozens of times. They were used to 1 or 2 or 3 takes. There's even a rumor that they did one part like over 250 times. I don't know if that's true, but it definitely drove the band. You might think was the lead single from Heartbeat City, followed by Magic, Drive, Hello Again, Why Can't I Have You in the title track.
You might think I'm crazy. Just a little magic.
Who's gonna drive you home?
Why can't I have you? Oh, Heartbeat City, here we come.
Now, Drive is definitely the special tune that I peg as the best song from Heartbeat City.
Tonight.
In a stellar album. That's a tough call to make, but Rick Ocasek wrote the song and he gave it to Ben Orr because he knew that Ben's voice was perfect for the tender sentiment of the song.
When you break.
Ben's voice, warm-hearted, sincere, it just gave the track a tearful emotion.
Nothing's wrong.
Drive was Benjamin Orr's finest performance, and that's saying something. This song came off perfectly. Mysterious and ethereal, with a memorable music video that starred Rick's future wife, Paulina Porskova, of course. The title track for me is the Rusty Diamond from Heartbeat City. It's a great demonstration of what made the car so cool and so unique. The gentle opening has a fluttering atmospheric build that is different from other tracks on the album. And I really love the interplay between the bass line and the keyboards. And of course, once again, Ben Orr's vocal is perfection. Heartbeat City is moody, but its superpower is that despite the melancholy, it has a feel-good charm to it, as only the Cars can portray. It's definitely a credit to Mutt Lange's genius as well. Gotta say that.
The noise electric never stops.
And number 6 on our 1984 countdown, I've got U2's The Unforgettable Fire, to me, their best album. It's the album where they traded raw post-punk for soaring atmospheric soundscapes. I love the title of this album. It actually came from an art exhibit of paintings by Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors. A truly chilling reflection on destruction and human suffering. But for Bono, The Unforgettable Fire grew into something bigger. It was a metaphor for the eternal flame of figures like Martin Luther King Jr., whose passion and sacrifice, of course, have left a lasting mark. The album's layered imagery weaves between hope and despair, really, from songs of nuclear devastation and drug addiction ravaging Dublin to hymns of resilience and remembrance. It was bold, it was ambitious, and it was truly haunting. The moment U2 began transforming into the band that could command stadiums and speak to the world. Now, The Unforgettable Fire was the first collaboration between U2 and producers Bryan Eno and Daniel Lanois, and their involvement marked a turning point for the band as they pushed into a more ambient and experimental sonic territory, moving away from their earlier, more straightforward rock sound. The singles here, of course, Pride in the Name of Love and the title track, and I love Bad. What a great song. song cut on the album for me, though, is definitely Pride. If you don't love this one, if it doesn't move you, you don't have a soul. Now, the track was originally conceived as a song about Jesus Christ, but Bono was reading Stephen B. Oates' Let the Trumpet Sound, A Life of Martin Luther King Jr., along with a biography on Malcolm X. And these works made him reflect on the contrasting approaches within the civil rights movement. There was the peaceful, nonviolent protest led by Martin Luther King Jr., and then the more militant stands associated with Malcolm X. That contrast and deep dive influenced the song's broader message of hope, justice, and the enduring fight. And of course, parts of the original message were still prevalent from the earlier song about Jesus Christ, especially the line, one man betrayed with a kiss.
One man betrayed with a kiss.
So the Edge began creating the melody for Pride in the Name of Love during a sound check before a U2 show in Hawaii. This is when Bono told him he wanted to write a song or write the song about Martin Luther King Jr. Actually, the Edge thought it was a bad idea. He didn't think U2 should be doing a song about civil rights. But when Bono came into the studio and he delivered that passionate vocal expressing the lyrics that he'd written, the Edge definitely changed his mind. He said, when I heard the vocal, it just felt right.
One man he resists.
Now, here's a little known fact for you. Chrissie Hynde performed background vocals on Pride in the Name of Love. Actually, Chrissie happened to be in town, so the band asked her to drop by and lend her talent. And in the liner notes, though, Chrissie was billed mysteriously as Mrs. Christine Kerr. Now, of course, she was married to Simple Minds frontman Jim Kerr back then, so there you go. Pretty cool. I'm tagging A Sort of Homecoming as the gem from The Unforgettable Fire. Even though I love Bad, it was tough to choose between the two. They're incredible songs. Title and lyrics of The Sort of Homecoming are believed to express Bono's sense of being perpetually away from home during his touring years. Life on the road, of course, could be brutal, and the phrase poetry is a sort of homecoming really hit him, capturing the idea that creative expression can provide a sense of comfort and belonging even when you're far from your roots or your home. Halfway through our countdown at number 5, man, I got a great one. Let It Be by The Replacements, the album that cemented them as alt-rock legends. So the title, interesting, that was a tongue-in-cheek jab at their Beatles-obsessed manager Peter Jesperson, who co-founded Twin Tone Records and worshipped the Fab Four.
Words of wisdom, let it be.
Naming the record after his favorite Beatles album started as a private joke, but became one of their defining statements. Jesperson's first meeting with the band was just as chaotic. Drummer Chris Marr sat on the steps outside a club while the rest of the band stumbled out after being kicked out for popping pills. Hey, we're talking about the Mats here. To top it off, teenage guitarist Tommy Stinson had broken his arm falling out of a tree, making them unable to play. It was a perfect introduction to the beautiful mess that was The Replacements and why we love them so much. A band whose reckless energy fueled one of the greatest alt-rock albums of the 80s, and really, they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let It Be is such a great album, and I love the album cover. I've always admired Paul Westerberg, one of my favorites, even though I can't remotely relate to his self-destructive behavior back then. I love their music. I love his music. I mean, he could have been the greatest songwriter of his generation, and The Replacements could have been massive. But he was so focused on not selling out, he overthought every move and held back and really ruined any chance at true greatness for this band. The Replacements were famous for being inconsistent as well. I mean, they could be the best band on the planet one night and then sloppy, drunken horde the next. But anyway, the lone single, Let It Be, was I Will Dare, also the standout track on the album for me. Paul called it the best song he's ever written, and he saw it as a reply to U2's I Will Follow. And described it as a kind of love song. Paul believed the song's title captured the band's fearless spirit, saying, "We'll dare to flop, we'll dare to do anything." Now, Unsatisfied is definitely the gem on Let It Be. I say that because of the song's true raw intensity.
Then tell me that I'm satisfied.
I mean, there's no slickness behind this song. The narration pulls no punches. It's struggling with emptiness and a longing for something deeper, and it's just such an incredible, sincere song.
Satisfied.
When I listen to the song today, I recall all too well the restless frustration of youth and the complicated emotions that came with growing up, hearing this song, and really speaking to me in so many outsiders and misfits. The Replacements were our band, and man, they'll never die. Oh man, this top 4 is so good, I'm telling you. At number 4, on our top 10 albums of 1984, I've got the self-titled debut by The Smiths. Now, this band's story begins in May of 1982 when Johnny Marr knocked on Stephen Morrissey's door in Stretford with one idea: to start a band. They'd actually met years earlier at a Patti Smith gig. They bonded over literature and music. And as soon as they were holed up in Johnny's attic, they cranked out the early songs that would shape one of the most influential bands of any decade. Nobody sounded like the Smiths back then. My favorite band of all time. The record gave us singles like Hand in Glove and What Difference Does It Make, and the US breakout, This Charming Man, which I consider to be the best track on the album, or the most iconic.
So what difference does it make? This charming man.
And Morrissey wrote This Charming Man to capture the vibe of an older, more underground scene, something a bit more self-aware and coded.
When in this charming car.
Of course, what makes This Charming Man so great is Johnny Marr's incredible guitar playing. Nobody plays the chords that Johnny Marr. People have not dreamed the chords that he creates. He's just incredible. And the lyrics are what makes it great because of Morrissey. But like many of his compositions, the lyrics borrow dialogue from a cult film. For example, the line, "A jumped up pantry boy who never knew his place," that comes straight from the 1972 movie Sleuth, which is based on Anthony Schaefer's 1970 play. And of course, the show stars Laurence Olivier and Michael Caine. And just that's the great thing about the Smiths is in the hidden meanings and cultural references that fans like me like to unpack.
A jumped up country boy who never knew his place.
That's what makes the Smiths so great. Words by Morrissey, sounds by Marr, really, the guitar. Johnny Marr crafted one of his most iconic riffs here, bright, jangly, and arpeggiated. He was actually inspired by Aztec Camera's Walk Out to Winter. The result was a song that perfectly blended cryptic storytelling with shimmering guitar pop, and an album that rewrote the rules for alternative rock, for modern rock.
I haven't got a stitch to wear.
Now, the sleeper from the Smiths' debut album is a potent one. It's called Suffer Little Children. It's the most haunting song of the 80s, easily.
We will haunt you when you lie.
It confronts the grim reality of the Moors. I can't say the word on here. I'll have to spell it out due to this platform's crushing censorship. The Moors, Murders. Chilling case in which 5 children were beaten and unalived near Morrissey's childhood home in Manchester in 1965. The song's stark and unsettling lyrics delve into themes of innocence lost and the darkness lurking beneath society's surface. It's easily, like I said, the most haunting song of the 80s. It'll give you nightmares.
Take me to the moor, dig a shallow grave.
When the song was released as part of the Smiths' debut album, it sparked immediate controversy. Many listeners found the subject matter to be very disturbing. Some retailers responded by removing the album from their shelves altogether. And also the laughing. People thought that that was the actual killer on the soundtrack, but it wasn't. I mean, Morrissey he's always spoken his mind. He chose to address this tragic chapter in his hometown's history, making Suffer Little Children one of the most provocative songs of its time, challenging societal taboos and forcing a conversation about the media's role in sensationalizing tragedy, especially with that haunting line, "Oh, Manchester, so much to answer for."
Oh, Manchester, so much to answer for.
In the years that followed, Morrissey developed a close correspondence with Ann West, who was the mother of victim Leslie Ann Downey. Over time, Ann came to believe that the song was created with a genuine respect and sincerity, and that Morrissey's intentions were truly a heartfelt acknowledgement of the tragedy that ended her daughter's life and so many innocent lives. Truly a masterpiece of a song, and can't say enough about Johnny Marr's guitar playing.
Child is on the
Coming in at our number 3 spot, I have the royal genius Prince with Purple Rain. You know, in the Purple Rain era, Prince pushed for guitar-forward tracks with fiery turns. Guitar Hero moments that would be scattered throughout an album and could appear in the performance scenes of the movie, and that's how he was thinking about this. The vibe was to marry this youthful, almost rebellious guitar voice with polished studio production, which he did perfectly. Prince admired the emotional punch and storytelling clarity of Bob Seger's ballads such as Night Moves and Against the Wind.
Getting our share, working on our night moves.
And he aimed to craft songs with strong direct narratives and memorable choruses that could carry a film's emotional arc. Again, it was a very innovative concept of cinematic and sonic power, and that's what makes the album so special.
His music.
Purple Rain was the pop culture phenomenon of 1984. In '83, Michael Jackson ruled with Thriller, and nobody came close until Prince stepped up and won up the King of Pop with a hit film and an album that spent 24 weeks at number 1. I mean, there wasn't a weak track on this album. The singles were When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, Purple Rain, the title track, I Would Die For You, and Take Me With You. All super hits.
This is what it sounds like when the doves cry and the elevator breaks us down. Oh no, let's go crazy. Purple rain, only to you. I would die for you, yeah, pretty baby. Just take me with you.
Prince wasn't just writing catchy hit songs though. He took a lot of risks here. He dropped the bass track for When Doves Cry, which shocked his band and many others. They thought he was nuts. And of course, it went to number 1. Then there was a provocative Darling Nikki, which made it onto our government's notorious Filthy 15 track list.
Nikki started to grind.
But for me, Let's Go Crazy is the cream of the crop. Besides being one of the ultimate party tunes, Let's Go Crazy has so many fun and interesting elements that showcase the brilliance of Prince. It's a brave sermon that every 80s kid knows by heart. Just by its first few words, dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
We are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
What follows is a high-energy, savage synth rock masterpiece that lit up radio. The only thing is, it's not exactly the straight-up party song that you might think it is. In fact, if you missed the cues in the intro, you may have missed its coded message entirely. It's a party anthem about God, and nobody really got that. Now, strangely enough, and sadly enough, this 80s smash would prove to be prophetic, as Prince was actually found dead in the very place that he described in the song, the elevator. It teases bits from other Prince songs like I Would Die For You and When Doves Cry, and that guitar solo at the end is the big standout moment, often talked about as one of the greatest rock solos ever. Just Prince, I can't say enough. Okay, so my favorite deep cut from Purple Rain is The Beautiful Ones. It's actually one of my favorite Prince compositions ever. Now, Prince first toyed with giving it a country flavor before taking it somewhere far more explosive. For years, people whispered it was written to steal Susanna Melvoin from her boyfriend, but Prince set the record straight. It was actually crafted for a pivotal Purple Rain moment, where Morris and Apollonia trade lines. The timing made it even juicier, though. Vanity had just quit the movie. Now, Prince had discovered her back in 1980 and dubbed her Vanity, saying she was like looking into a female mirror of himself. So that's where it came from. That backstory gave the scene and the song even more electricity. From falsetto whispers to a full-throated scream, Prince turned The Beautiful Ones into a desperate plea of obsession. It's not just a song, it's an emotional roller coaster that crashes into your chest and lingers long after the fade out. Gosh, his performance at the end is just mind-altering. All right, bursting in at the bridesmaid position on our top 10 84, I've got the boss, Bruce Springsteen, with his epic Born in the USA album. Born in the USA is one of the best-selling albums of all time. It's moved over 30 million copies worldwide. Its massive popularity brought Bruce to a new level of mainstream recognition, turning him into a global superstar. I mean, Born in the USA exemplifies how an album can be such an exhilarating experience that can last a lifetime and more. Bruce and his production team of John Landau, Chuck Plotkin, and Stevie Van Zandt created an album that depicted the struggles of regular people, the American working class, and the decaying of Americanism, and then disillusionment, and even resilience. These issues remain relevant across generations. We're still feeling this. The stories from this album resonated with a wide audience, making it an album that's both a reflection of his time and one that just we're dealing with now. A whopping 7 singles were released from Born in the USA, and every one of them was a top 10 hit, a record at the time. Dancing in the Dark, Cover Me, Born in the USA, I'm on Fire, Glory Days, I'm Going Down, My Hometown.
Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
Honestly, every song on this album could have been a top 10 hit in my opinion. Now, the title track reigns supreme for me. Born in the USA was a rallying cry for both patriotism and protest. Sparking debates about its true meaning forever, while many people embrace Born in the USA as a patriotic anthem, its true heart lies in exposing the gap between surface pride and the lived realities of those who truly sacrificed for our country, making it a pointed, critical meditation rather than just a simple rah-rah celebration of patriotism. At its core, it's neither rah-rah America nor is it anti-American. People are wrong on both ends. It's about the way many people treated our veterans when they got back home. They felt alienated by a country they had fought for and came back to unemployment and rejection and even shame. It's probably the most misunderstood song ever. Now, this was the first album that I bought with my own money, and I know every song like the back of my hand. Songs on this album are nostalgic and full of emotion. You know, from the father sitting his son up on his lap, driving around saying, "This is your hometown," to the stark obsession of "I'm on Fire," a song that sounded less like a rock star and more like a serial killer, right?
This is your hometown. Love my head on you and cool my desire.
There's also the Undying Friendship and No Surrender and Bobby Jean. It's just a perfect album.
Just to say goodbye, Bobby Jean.
Now, the overlooked gem from this album for me is the gut-punching ballad Downbound Train, a song that came out of Bruce's Nebraska era when he was holed up at home with a 4-track recorder. He was struggling with isolation and depression.
On a downbound train.
This song never made Nebraska, that album, but its bleak working-class despair of a man losing both his job and his love, it fit perfectly on Born in the USA, where it stood out as one of the record's rawest, most devastating tracks. It's a reminder that even amid Bruce's stadium anthems, his heart never left the broken people that he wrote about in Nebraska.
I feel a kiss in the misty rain.
Springsteen once said Downbound Train is a dream song where the narrator, drowning in grief, imagines reuniting with a woman who left him, but instead of a happy ending, he wakes up alone to the sound of a train whistle, a cruel reminder of reality. That brutal twist, hope crushed by morning light. Love it.
Then I heard that long whistle whine.
All right, so culminating an amazing year in music where some of the best albums of the rock era were dropped. Jump back, my friends, because I've chosen 1984 by Van Halen as our number 1 in the countdown of the top 10 84. It was a tough choice between the top 3. Of course, 1984 was the last album with Diamond David Lee Roth, as the front man, And man, what a swan song 1984 was. The album was full of creative conflict. You can feel it. Dave clashed with Eddie over Eddie's push to use more synthesizers, while Eddie thought Dave cared too much about image and not enough about the music. And that tension helped push Dave out of the band soon after the album came out. He wanted to go do his own thing. But 1984 was the breakout for Eddie's fascination with synthesizers, and ultimately a compromise between Eddie and Diamond Dave and producer Ted Templeman. And it ended up being a killer blend of keyboards, guitars, rhythm, and percussion. Jump, Van Halen's lone #1 pop hit, is a perfect example of the magic mix of all these elements, and it takes us right back there. Eddie made the synthesizer arrangement years before Jump was recorded, and then DLR, Michael Anthony, and brother Alex added their distinctive musicianship along with a tasty Eddie solo to craft a true rock anthem that we still listen to every day. Jump, of course, was the first single. That was followed by I'll Wait, Panama, and Hot for Teacher.
Might as well jump. I'll wait till your love runs down. Panama, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher.
1984 includes what I consider to be the greatest rock song of the 80s. It's just pure adrenaline. Panama. I mean, the scorching intensity of this song from the opening lick on, it's an adrenaline rush of Van Halen bravado that is just impossible to match. The musicality of Eddie's scorching solo on Panama leading into Diamond Dave's seductive interlude is the compelling highlight of this high-speed joyride.
Yeah, we're running a little bit hot tonight.
On the surface, Panama is a car song, but listen closer and it's drenched in sexual innuendo, with the speeding car doubling as a metaphor for passion and desire, let's be honest. DLR's winking delivery made sure fans caught the double meaning, though.
Sound. Here she comes, full blast and top down.
And the Lamborghini rev up, you know, on that sound, how they recorded that was so great.
From the heat coming on.
And I think The Heat Is On borrowed from it a year later and became a big hit. Panama, The Heat Is On. Listen to them back to back. You'll see what I'm talking about.
The heat is on. The heat is on.
My hidden gem on 1984, I gotta go with Drop Dead Legs. This cut starts with a bluesy intro, a cool meandering section, and then it blasts in with an explosive kick after that quiet opening. The outro solo channels jazz fusion guitarist Alan Holdsworth, showing Eddie's versatility and his desire to truly experiment with different styles. So that closes the curtain on our countdown of the top 10 albums of 1984, a phenomenal year in music, my favorite. What do you think? What are your favorite albums? What's your top 10 albums of 1984? Again, they had to be released in 1984. Sometimes something's released at the end of 84 and becomes a big hit in 85, but I still count it in 84 because that's when the album came out. But let's have a great discussion. What are your memories of these songs? What do you think? Van Halen, Prince, Bruce Springsteen. What should be #1? Maybe Metallica. Anyway, let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.